To further explain on the ASEAN Summit, we're pleased to welcome Dr. Nabil Mikhail, a respected writer and political analyst from Washington, D.C. Hello, Doctor, and welcome. Could you elaborate on Malaysia's emphasis on preserving geo-economic cooperation between ASEAN, GCC countries, and China?
Thank you for your kind invitation. Expectedly, as the presiding nation over ASEAN in this round of talks, the government of Malaysia is putting emphasis or stressing the critical role that the Gulf Cooperation Council nations will cultivate or will have in their approach and relationship with the ASEAN nations. Why? Because the GCC countries serve as a good model for ASEAN. There are still some political disputes. For instance, the situation in Myanmar has been the subject of much criticism by the member nations. The tension in the South China Sea impacts ASEAN negatively, and not the least, the recent strife between India and Pakistan was also troublesome. So ASEAN is looking for a good partnership with a stable, rational leadership found in the Gulf Cooperation Council's nations and countries. Therefore, cultivating good ties between West Asia and East Asia will be a strong strategic bond that could promise the stabilization of the whole troublesome continent of Asia.
Now, Dr. Nabil, you're speaking about stabilization. How does ASEAN intend to progress in economic integration and free trade in light of these shifting dynamics in global trade today?
Good question, and excuse the fact that there was an omission on my part for the second portion of the question regarding China, but I can integrate it in answering my second question. Basically, ASEAN is trying to slow down the trade war going on between China and the United States. As you know, that the Trump administration has imposed sanctions and tariffs on Chinese goods. China reciprocated. This is not good for, first of all, the global economy, the economy of most of the nations in Asia, and the economy of China itself. ASEAN has good ties with China and also appreciates and recognizes how China is changing regional politics and international politics. This is for one. But also ASEAN has been affected badly by this trade war and these tariff disputes between Beijing and Washington. Therefore, when ASEAN tries to send a message to both China and America to slow down their trade rivalry, ASEAN actually is furthering regional cooperation among its nations and is doing a good service for the world economy by avoiding global markets of the negative implications of the China-US trade wars. To some extent, ASEAN nations could be successful because by having good ties with the Gulf nations embodied in the Gulf Cooperation Council, two blocks of Asian nations could basically diffuse much of the tension that has been arising as a result of the China-US trade war, and could also expect or preempt any regional crisis, and could handle potential developments such as the expected quote-unquote agreement between the United States and Iran over Iran's nuclear power. So Iran could be a factor soon in the economics and geoeconomics of East Asia. And perhaps Iran could have some ties with ASEAN. And also they can give a good model for the European nations that are now disputing with the Trump administration over the latter's attempted to impose more tariffs on the exports and imports exchanged across the Atlantic.
Dr. Nabil, I'd love to ask you more about this topic, but unfortunately we're out of time. So thank you so much, Dr. Nabil Mikhail, the writer and political analyst from Washington, D.C.